Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the John Campea YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and this is a special follow-up video to today's earlier episode of the John Campea Show. Now, one of the things I do during the John Campea Show is that I invite people to send in live comments and questions, and if they send them in via Superchat, I say I will make sure I answer them if they get sent in via Superchat. However, about halfway through the show, I said, hey guys, the Super Chat's already full. Please don't send any more Super Chats. Stop sending in Super Chats. Unfortunately, some people either didn't hear me, or some people just ignored me, or some people might have joined the show after that and still fired in Super Chats. So I thought, you know what? I want to make sure they get their questions answered. So I'm going to make this separate little video to make sure that those extra questions that got sent in today get addressed. And hopefully you'll find them interesting and informative at the same time. All right, now I'm going to let you know, I have not reviewed these questions because when I do the show live, I just read the questions live and I don't have a chance to review them, prepare them in advance. I decided to do the exact same thing so it still feels like the live show. So with that done, let's go to the first Super Chat question and the first question that I missed on today's show. And this one comes to us from Matt Joe, who writes, with Disney creating its own streaming service and them taking the Marvel shows off Netflix, do you think the Marvel shows will become more connected? No, I don't think that. Them being on Netflix was never the issue about why they weren't as connected in with the MCU. I think they just, from a creative point of view, wanted to keep, again, theoretically, they're all in the same universe, but practically, they have never crossed over. And I don't think they ever will, because I think the people running the Netflix shows love the fact that they have the freedom to do whatever it is they want to do with those shows and not worry about what the movies are doing and vice versa. So I think if they do bring over those Marvel shows to the Marvel or the Disney streaming service in 2019, I honestly don't think you're going to see any change in philosophy. I think they're going to keep doing them the way they do them. Thanks a lot for the question, Matt. All right, the next one comes to us from Blake Bonecutter, who writes, chances that the Pikachu movie could be good. Ryan Reynolds plus Alex Hirsch script sounds good to me. Well, I don't know. You never know. Look, I thought the Power Rangers movie would be garbage, and I actually ended up getting a kick out of it. I also thought that first live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie from a couple of years ago, the one that Michael Bay produced, that first one, I thought that would be garbage. And I actually ended up having kind of some fun with it. I didn't like the sequel, but the first one was actually pretty good. Could Detective Pikachu movie be any good? Yeah, it could. I mean, look, Hugh Jackman, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and Ryan Reynolds were all in the run for this role. I mean, so there got to be something to it, right? So if I had to put the over-under, I'll say 40%. 40, which is a good, solid number. 40% chance that Detective Pikachu is good. So it definitely has a chance. All right, thanks a lot for the question, Blake. The next one comes to us from I Can't Think of a Good Username, which is in and of itself a great username. Wrote, hi, John. What are your top 5 favorite Star Wars moments, The Last Jedi not included? Well, generally speaking, I can't think of a good username. I've mentioned this before on the show. I don't like taking questions that are, give me your top 5 this or top 10 that, because that's something I would need to sit down and think about and go through my head. I mention that all the time. So I will tell you, though, this. My all-time favorite moment in any Star Wars movie, nay, any movie in Hollywood history, is from The Return of the Jedi, the Emperor Throne Room scene. That whole banter back and forth between Vader, the Emperor, and Luke, and then ultimately the battle between Luke and Vader with that music and the cinematography of it, awe-inspiring. That, to me, is the greatest moment in any movie ever. So it's obviously my number one favorite moment in a Star Wars movie. All right, Sheldon Scoggins writes, is there a possible plot for Flashpoint for it to not feel rushed or unearned? At least in the Flashpoint story so far, RVRS Flash and Barry's Reverse Flash and Barry's mom's death play a role. None of them has been seen so far. It's easy. Like, everybody thinks no story can be told in a movie. Like, everybody thinks their comic book story can't be told in a 2-hour movie. Yes, you can. If Star Wars can be told in a single 2-hour movie, if Guardians of the Galaxy can be told in a single 2-hour movie, introducing all the characters, doing everything you need to do, yes, there's a million ways to do Flashpoint. They should reboot, but anyway, there's a million ways to do Flashpoint for it to not feel rushed. It'll be totally fine. It'll be totally good. No reason to worry about it. No reason at all. Sandy Feliz writes, Do you think they can still pull a Fast and Furious and make the universe better? I personally like that they aren't starting out Judith because of Henry. Just because of and make what better? I'm sorry, Sandy. I don't really know what it is you're talking about. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what it is you're asking, so I apologize, but I'm going to have to move on to the next question. Going back to I can't think of a good username, writes, would you reboot it with the new Batman movie and connect that with the solo Joker movie? I think there are two ways that Warner Brothers could reboot. Number one, start off with a brand new Justice League movie. Boom! Just like they were planning on doing before with that Will Beall script that Ben Affleck was in negotiations to direct. Just start that off with your universe and bang! Start off with a bang. The other way I've said that would be a pretty good way to reboot it is to start with the Matt Reeves Batman films. Matt Reeves is a terrific director. You got him. You're getting in a brand new Batman. Use these Batman films as your cornerstone for building a new cinematic universe and go from there. And then, yeah, doing that, connect that in with a solo Joker movie. Sure, why not? There's many ways you could do that. So, but I do think starting off with Batman is one of the two very good ways you could reboot that universe. Let's see. Vashion Zin writes, the MCEU has one person playing one character for the entire run. People associate themselves with persons and characters. The same can't be said for DC. People still recall Batman with Bale and not much with Affleck. Well, I mean, but look, we had an entire trilogy with Bale where no other characters were there. It was Bale and only Bale, Batman and only Batman. So that's an apples to oranges comparison. So let me defend the DCEU here a little bit. The Bale thing, it was one hero, Batman. That's it. Christian Bale playing him, and he played him for like 6 years. All right, 3 movies over like 5 years or whatever it was. Ben Affleck did one movie where he was Batman, where he was only half of the story. The other half was Superman, obviously. And then he was in Justice League, which is a big team movie. And unfortunately, Justice League did not resonate with the audience or anything like that. So trying to compare how much people will associate Ben Affleck with Batman as opposed to Christian Bale with Batman, when Christian Bale was a solo hero over his own film franchise over 3 films in a number of years with Christopher Nolan as the director, that's an unfair comparison. That doesn't really tell us anything of value at that point, right? So not really a fair comparison. So let's keep that in mind. All right, the next one. Anthony C. comes to us and he says, the problems begin and end with Snyder. Since he is not there and Wonder Woman was successful, Warner Brothers probably think think the troubles are over. Well, look, I can tell you this. I don't know that I agree that Zack Snyder was the be-all and end-all of the problems, because I think Zack Snyder has some really good tools in his toolkit as a director. I will say this, though. There are a lot of leaders at Warner Brothers who wanted to get rid of Zack Snyder. There were a lot of them. Ultimately, they got vetoed. But that's the part of the problem with everything at Warner Brothers, is that there was no unified direction. There was no unified vision amongst the leadership over there and a clear singular direction that they all agreed on. You do have that at Marvel. They have a unified leadership all heading in the same direction. At Warner Brothers, with all the reports that we've read, they are a divided house. So they can't even get their own shit together. I mean, I don't know that it really all starts with Snyder, but I do believe you will never see Snyder direct another DC film. I think that day is now gone. So I don't think we're going to see that happen again. And I like Zack Snyder. You know, I love Man of Steel. I mean, there you go. Mike Stevenson writes, long-term watcher from before the AMC 24-hour marathon days. Thank you so much, Mike. Keep up the good work, son, and bring that filthy. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that, man. It hits me right here when people actually take a moment out to say something nice, because you'd be surprised how many people will take time out to say something nasty. It's really nice when somebody takes a moment out to say something nice. I appreciate that, Mike. All right, just a couple more here. John K. writes, hey, John, saw you referred to as director and film critic. Turns out you made a movie called The Anniversary in 2009. Think you'll ever direct again? Well, I've actually done a couple of films. I did The Anniversary in 2009. I also did a documentary called Prince of Peace, God of War. Do I ever think I'll direct again? Maybe. I was actually, shortly after I did The Anniversary, there was a Hollywood celebrity. If I named him, not like an A-list, not like a Ben Affleck or something like that, but there was a Hollywood celebrity who, if I mentioned who it was, you would recognize them. had written a script and asked me if I wanted to direct it. The problem is I didn't like the script at all. I didn't like the story, and I never ended up doing it. Plus, I wasn't really sure I wanted to direct again, because when I did the anniversary, the main reason I did the anniversary was not because I had dreams of being a director. Not at all. I really wanted to appreciate more, because I had been doing the movie blog for a long time. I wanted to better appreciate what goes into making a movie. And what better way to do that than to write, direct, and produce my own movie? So that's what I did. And I wrote, directed, and produced my own movie. And I think that really was a big education for me in understanding the movie business and understanding what goes into making a film. And I had to work with unions. I had to work with SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, and I had to do a whole bunch of stuff. And it gave me a much broader, better perspective of the film industry. And on that level, it was a great success. After that, I always thought I probably believe I am better suited as a producer than I am as a director. So we'll see. Maybe I'll direct something again in the near future. Maybe I'll produce more in the near future. But we'll have to wait and see. But thank you for bringing that up, man. I appreciate that. All right. Vernon Lee writes, what do you think of the movie The Babe? So you're not talking about Babe in the City. Which one are you talking about? The Babe. I'm assuming that has something to do with baseball. You're talking about the Big Gambino. You know what? Maybe I'm just drawing. Again, this is one of those things. I did not research these in advance. I'm having a brain freeze as to which movie that is. So I'll look it up, and then I'll probably hate myself for the fact that I can't remember it. The one starring John Goodman. Thank you. I only ever saw that movie once, a hell of a long time ago. If I remember correctly, I enjoyed it. But yeah, that's a movie I watched once, like forever ago. I remember loving John Goodman in it. Hard for me to remember. I don't remember any details about it, but it was forever ago. Wow, that's a blast from the past. Thanks for bringing that one up. Anthony C. writes, Rian Johnson trilogy need connection to the saga, the Force? Not necessarily. Look, I've said forever that one of the brilliant things about the Star Wars universe is that it's so big. Not just in terms of how many worlds there are, how many races there are, how many stories there are to tell, but also it's big in terms of time. You've got thousands of years that you could pick any period of time that you want to tell a story in. I do not think it needs to connect in with the saga. Would it probably tie in with the Force? With Jedi or Sith or whatever? It probably would, but I don't believe it has to. I really don't. You can tell a great sci-fi story set in the universe of Star Wars and not have it be connected to Jedi or the Force in any way. And I think you got a storyteller like Rian Johnson. He could do it, and he could do it great. That's my thought on it at any rate. Richard Chrysokula writes, hey, John, love the show. Been watching you since the AMC days. This cup is actually still from my AMC days. This is the cup I've been using since the AMC days. Anyway, meeting you at Star Wars or STWC was great. What is Star Wars Celebration? Is that what STWC is? Anyway, was great. I think DC should continue with their sequels and solo movies. Keep that and keep the formula that works. Well, you put LOL. Does that mean you're being sarcastic? Because so far the formula has not worked. Because their formula has led to the flop that is Justice League. That's what the formula has led to. Now, comparatively, Justice League is not a flop. But Justice League isn't just some other movie. Justice League is supposed to be the film that made as much money as Avengers, and it made almost 3 times less. Wrap your heads around that. The Avengers made almost triple of what Justice League did. So I don't know. I think you're saying you're being sarcastic. You're being sly there, Richard. All right. Next one comes to us from LooperRocks19, who writes, no spoilers. Your one-word reaction to DJ in the Last Jedi. I honestly can't remember who DJ is. Who's DJ? I can't remember who DJ is. Jesse Gonzalez writes in, if the merger with Fox and Disney happens, what would happen to the DC shows on Fox? I have a feeling they would leave. Remember, Fox doesn't own the rights to those properties. They have a license to those properties, and I have a feeling they can't go to Disney. Again, I'm not basing that on anything that I know. I'm simply speculating at this point. It's just a semi-educated guess. I would have a feeling that you're not going to see Gotham on a Disney streaming service, for example. I think those rights will probably then get shuffled off to somebody else or somewhere else. But you never know. Maybe they do. Maybe you could see Gotham on the Disney streaming service. My guess at this point would be, though, that those rights would go somewhere else. That's just my thought, because again, Fox doesn't own the rights to the Batman characters or Jim Gordon. They don't own the rights to that. They simply have a license. So how that plays out, I'm not going to pretend that I know. I don't know the ins and outs of the television networks and their individual deals and things like that. So my best guess is that it doesn't end up on the Disney streaming channel. But maybe I'm wrong. Let's see and let's find out. All right, guys, that will do it. Those are all the questions that I missed from this show earlier today. Thank you guys so much for taking the time and energy to send in those questions and for supporting the show and the channel and all that kind of stuff. It is so appreciated. Thank you so much for what you do. That will do it for me, guys. Thanks a lot for joining me. Listen, don't forget, we have 100, and I turned off the wrong thing. We have 100,000 subscribers on this channel, but you know what? We have room for a whole lot more. Click that subscribe button, become a subscriber to this YouTube channel. Also, make sure you click the thumbs up button, jump into the comment section, leave your thoughts on any or all the questions and topics that were brought up in this video. And remember, guys, when you're getting into differences of opinion and having debates, remember, the person that you disagree with in the chat below is also a fellow film fan right along with you. You're both on the same team, even if you have disagreements over certain points. Remember that as you're having your passionate debates about our favorite thing in the world, the movies. Make sure too, guys, that you follow me on social media, on Facebook or on Twitter. Just follow me at John Campea. That'll do it for me, guys. Thanks a lot for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until the next time, bye-bye.